Now we are going to talk about Kounin's effective teacher model, and then Kounin's model is very, famous, and you will find a lot of information, more details out in Google or YouTube you can watch. And he proposed three, effective teacher models. The first one is witness teacher. So witness is we say easily just the child believes my teacher has eyes all around the head. So that means the teacher knows every details of what's going on inside the classroom. Even though teacher writes something on the whiteboard and then turn their back to the students, so little Johnny knows my teacher cannot see me. However, teacher knows, and then she just turns and Johnny, could you stop and just go back to your work? And they were just, oh my gosh, how she knew, that's how students respond. So it is very important, teacher really has all, body senses to, notice and sense and every child, participation and their frustration. And that teacher could be a very proactive teacher. So proactively, promptly, the teacher can provide, some difficulty assistance for the difficulties. So we're going to talk about this one more. However, that's a witness teacher. Just a teacher has, that's the number one, actually, number one. I don't know, it's a skill, so it's more like a sense. That's why born sense. You are very have those, wise, sense of noticing, sensing others' behaviors and minds and inside what's going on, and then you could be a witness teacher. And ripple effect is it's one of behavior management techniques, especially when you start a new rule or new procedure, or you have some concerns. So you want everyone just work together and then shape their behaviors. And then you could use this ripple effect. So it's more like, snowball and domino effect. So when you study the new something and let's say just new rules, and just you cannot talk without raising hands, and then somebody just blurt out, and then that child could be a scapegoat, and then you just kind of do some negative reinforcement or something very big, and then other children like, oh my gosh, I'm not, I gotta be careful. So they learn from that. However, this is a little bit aversive method, so you could do opposite. So any child raised their hand the first time, and then quietly, just as you asked, and then oh my gosh, Jessica, great! I love that. You just remembered my new rule. I really appreciate that. And then you just exaggerate and then compliment the child, and you may just give some a little bit, big prize for that, and then others make other children just envy about it, jealous about it, and then they just, okay, I'm gonna do that too. So second time, second student and third student. So that's a ripple effect. Okay, chain the domino effect. And then third one is a momentum smoothness. This is about the teaching preparation. When you prepare your instructions, you have to make sure everything on the right place. So you don't just give them some, empty spots time-wise. As soon as the students have some, free moment, and then they are pretty much off task. Once they're off task, if you don't have those charismatic, leadership or just teaching skills, it's very hard to get everyone's attention back to the, task. So it is very important the teacher does not stop and then everything is ready and then move on. So we have when I just became a teacher in the first day, my previous teacher, she was a long-term sub, and she told me just get them busy. I just asked her, so how you did here in the classroom, and I just asked her some wisdom as a new teacher and a novice teacher, and she said just get them busy. So get them busy means don't give them any empty free moments. As soon as you give them empty free moments, and then they will be wild. Once they became wild, it is very hard to bring them back to the task. So that is pretty much a part of this momentum, smoothness. So your instructions, everything is very ready in the morning before children arrived. You have to make everything just ready and make sure. And then when I teach this, so it's like on the stage when you do some play acting, you just make sure everything is here and then there, and then it's just like especially when you have just holidays and guests coming, and at home you have everything in your head, right? After this meal, and then I'm gonna bring this, and then after this, and then I'm gonna bring this drink. You have all those blueprint protocol plans. So every day, your whole day, you have to have those plans. And then one by one, and then you could check off. Okay, so now reading is off, and then next one is a math, and then this is this. So I need this one, and the ruler is all here. I have a 30 students, so 30 rulers here, and then I have this, and then there is this. So that's very important. So you can be busy with the students, and you don't have to leave students. Your attention, not just the body, your attention is not distracted to find the stuff you need. Okay, so overlapping is the next one. Is overlapping teacher. Overlapping is like a multitasking teacher. So we have alternating attention. So when you do something and then somebody says something, you hear something, that means you are very just like a witness teacher as well. It's the same thing. Just you work on something you are teaching, and then your eyes are checking everybody in your classroom. They are following you, or they got confused. They may have some questions, and you could sense those, right? And then while you're talking, you hear something behind somebody, and then right away you turn, and that's your attention. You're shifting attention. I had a paraeducator one time, and she was a substitute paraeducator in my classroom. And I asked her, to check some of, my student paper, worksheets. And then I was really shocked. I found she just looked at the paper like this. I could see her eyes. I didn't know that until I asked that. And then look at this. And then she could not even hear the student yelling and screaming and just fighting beside her. She could not hear. It's just like on task here, and then pretty much her whole attention and cognitions on here, and then every just other senses are pretty much blind. And it's just really, it was the first time I watched and very surprised. But when I see this overlapping, that's the part of that. And we have so many professions out there and job occupations. So when I talk about this teacher and all this teacher efficacy and all that, I hope my teacher candidates really look at themselves, examine themselves. If they have any weaknesses in certain areas, because again, teacher requires whole senses alive when students are around. They have to monitor, and everybody's in their eyes, regardless you are in the front or back of the classroom or left and right. You cannot see, still you sense everyone's right now at this moment what they are doing. If you don't have those senses, and then you're not right person for teaching. Okay, so it does not mean you cannot do any or useless. I'm not saying that. We have all gifts. So we have to go by our gift codes, not about our, feelings, what I just want to do. Okay. So I wanted to be a doctor, and I could not be a doctor because I was so bad in science. And then my son same. And when I asked them, how about, medical? And I think, neurosurgeons are so great. When I watched the, Grey Anatomy, I loved those surgeons. So I asked my son, and then they said, Mom, I'm okay with the science, but biology, I'm not good. So that's the honest, analysis of their own gift and skills and strengths, right? So you dearly want to be a doctor. Still, if you have those weaknesses, you cannot be a doctor. We know that, right? I just love to see all paintings. However, of course, I wish I have some drawing skills, so I can make those, creative art. However, my drawing is almost like a disability level. I cannot be it. And then I was a church pianist. However, I could not go, music, because I knew I'm not that big sense in music. I could mechanically play the piano, but I could not feel it inside. So everybody has their own, gift. When I moved to the United States for the further study, and I announced to myself, I'm not gonna do education again. I'm gonna go to law school. And I ended up doing, education. And then somebody told me, why don't you do special education? It's a really good, markets out there, and it attracted. And then I just first words I said is, I don't have a calling for that. Oh, I can't stand it. And then at the time in my head, special education is only for the severe disabilities. And I'm not that person I could do. So I know me, I could not do it. However, I fall in love with the special education once I started doing it. And it's a mild disabilities, highest disabilities, because that's what I have been doing. And I had so many questions about why children could not learn. It looks like they are so smart. However, they struggle with learning. So I had those deep down questions in Korea, and then I struggled a lot because I didn't know about the special education. So I came over here and studied just, regular general education, and then I move on to special education, and then I found all those answers. So everybody has their calls and goal. And now just, at age 40, I found I'm so good at law and those logical thinking. And I just love this. So I want to do it again, those law, since I have, doctoral degree in education. I wanted to law. And then my husband said, you're 40. So that is true. So I just stopped it. But if I knew about my colleague in 20s, I probably went to, law school. So everybody has all just, until late age, you don't know where your gifts in. So later in your age 30, you find that. But while you're listening to these all lectures and then participate all these, and then it is just initial teacher preparation programs, so this College of Education is the time you have to honestly analyze yourself. Your gift, it's not about your feeling, okay? Your gift, where truly your gift is. And it's very good for you and then your future students. And then you just have assurance, oh, this is a right profession for me. That means it's not just your love with the children, okay? It's not about your love, your affection. It is about your skills and knowledge and your cognition and your senses, okay? So you can be a competent teacher, and then you can enjoy your job without suffering, frustrating, struggling with the children. 20, 30, somebody else's children are not easy job, to be honest. It is a very rewarding job, very meaningful job, because you are raising children, right? You are raising children to be somebody. So it's a very rewarding job, but it really, really needs a certain, gifts call, okay? So that's, overlapping teacher, it's a multitasking. And then last one is a group focus. Group focus is like, keeps the students attentive and actively involved. That is another, big skills. Your charisma is a leadership, is just, especially stage speaking. So your voice tone, and then your way of speaking. So you can attract everybody's attention without saying, hey guys, look at me, be attentive, where's your attention? It's not that. You don't have to say that, because as soon as you talk and teach, and your teaching is just so fun to watch, or just get and involved and learn, and then they feel so self-accomplishment through your teaching. And then they're just, even though you said don't be attentive, and they're gonna, be attentive, they will pay attention to your teaching. Okay, so these effective teachers, really, you have these senses and skills. You have that, and then this job is really, really fun job, and very meaningful job, and rewarding job. Again, because you are raising countries' future citizens, right? So these citizens, powerful citizens will make the country powerful. So who does those seeding jobs, farming jobs? That's school teachers. So it's a very rewarding, jobs, but it really requires very good, skills, okay, and functions, especially those cognitive foundations and cognitive senses. It's important.